to me that was one I haven't been able to deny one. Yeah, this is quite a few changes on it as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Ready for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the South Tollbridge Fund Finance Committee that we've had today. And it's now it's just after 7, so we'll start the meeting. First of all, welcome everyone, including our new town clerk, Christina, and also any taxpayers who are actually watching this live. First of all, first item, are there any apologies for absence?
As before, Councillor Green with travel commitment, Councillor Carter with personal commitment, Councillor D that's not feeling very well, and Councillor Ungerson has a travel commitment.
Right, thank you. Are there, item 2, are there any declarations of interest? Pecuniary interest specifically? No, thank you. The minutes of the Finance Committee, are there any matters arising from that?
I'd like to propose we accept them.
Thank you. Councillor Tucker, can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Pennington, votes please.
I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item 4, public participation. Have we received any requests for public participation? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 5, which is the payment schedules. Are there any particular points that people want to raise? I mean, I'll take them all together at the end. 2A, 2B, 2C and 2D. So approve the South Tollbridge Fund Guildhall payment schedules for July, mid-August and end of August. Are there any matters arising from them? Let me just double check this, hang on. Just a moment. No, that's fine. 5B, Tollbridge Fund payment schedules.
No.
Okay. Right, and then we move on to the 5D, which is quilt achievement. Let me find that, please.
Yeah.
Where's my quilt achievement? Just a moment. Are there any comments or questions about the quilt achievement?
I suppose the fact that it's actually got a minus figure for all elements of the investment is, I suppose, slightly worrying. So I wonder if we could just inquire what's the background to that?
Yes, it was certainly disappointing.
Yeah, -8 capital income, minus 0.8, minus 0.7 on income return, so minus 0.1% in total. So I'm not sure, I can't think of any world events in the last month. Well, sorry, very true. Any exceptional ones that haven't been occurring for the last couple of years?
If I've only been in the country 24 hours, it wouldn't have been that bad, would it?
It's just general uncertainty worldwide, I would think. Although Dow Jones and others are still going up, aren't they?
Yes.
I think it's very, very varied. Some things, some markets are doing very well, some of the American markets are doing very well, but in Britain it's not necessarily quite so good. But it is disappointing
We need to just keep an eye on that.
well, even the year to date is actually not quite as good at 9.1 compared to the comparators. So I do think that is a bit disappointing. It's lower than almost every comparator except 2. So I do think there's continuing questions about quilt achievement and their performance.
So can I ask the chair, the review group that's been having conversations about whether we're getting the best value out of Quilt Achievement and also Harris All Day, when could we expect some sort of report to finance committees?
Well, we've had 2 meetings so far, haven't we? But we haven't come to any firm conclusions. Unfortunately, with people's holidays,
Yeah.
we've got 2 people away at the moment who are not going to be here until the beginning of October. To have a 3rd meeting to really start to pull this together is going to take a little bit of time. I would hope that towards the end of October, we would be able to have some better conclusion and some recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right. Any other questions on payment schedules, section 5? Well, moving on then. Section 6.
Yeah. So we need
Oh,
to.
sorry,
Are you approving?
So we note the court achievement, but the others we
Yes, we know it will achieve it. Can I have a proposal for that, please?
will have to propose that we note it.
Second.
But then we need to also
Yeah, all the numbers, that all the payments. Yeah, that's.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody.
That's what the whole of section 5.
Is that the whole of section 5 done?
no, because they're separate. Is it? So one is the noting,
One
which
is the
court
noting, the
achievement,
other
the other
one
is
is
actually to
accepting.
receive.
Okay.
But, sorry, can I confirm it will be minuted that we express concern about the
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
I've
I
got
would
that.
hope so. Yes.
And I would ask, and as I said earlier, is could we actually just contact them and say, is there any specific explanation for this month's performance?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Right.
I propose 5A and 5B.
To receive them.
To, yeah.
Yeah, happy to support that. So I'm seconding that.
Sorry.
To receive.
So that was councillor
Marie,
Yes.
unanimous.
That's C.
We've got the note for what? 5D. All right. Moving on, this is the significant question about delay for reporting the, particularly the COVID fund finances. Town clerk, would you be the best person to? I've seen the report, but it doesn't actually tell me a great deal.
Well, I think the bottom line is that obviously with, that we've got 2 entities here we're dealing with, so we've got the Town Council and the Tollbridge Fund. And it's always historically been the case, when Karen was here, that you dealt with the Town Council first because we've got the AGAR deadline, the 30th of June.
Yeah.
It's not physically possible for the RFO to do both in tandem by June. It just isn't possible. So it's always been delayed with the Tollbridge Fund. Now the added complication this year is we have the new finance software that we've been using, but we haven't obviously done the year end. And so once Karen had left, we had the interim RFO, and there have been problems with the functionality, I'm told, of the software system. Now I have sat in on some of the calls with Advantage, and I mean they are trying to sort of defend their position and say, although it will report for charities, it's not actually geared for doing that, but it was told to us on the understanding that they knew we had a charity, it was very clear to them, and they do have other customers that have charities. So I am of the opinion it should be the same principle. It doesn't matter if the charity is larger. So I think there's some software glitches and things that have become apparent, and the reporting side of things certainly it's taken some time with working with the development team, Advantage, to get rid of these glitches and get to a point where we can actually get some reports.
Have they got a clear timetable as to when they're going to get all of this sorted out?
So we've literally, I've literally pressed the button with the new town clerk today on the agenda for the Tollbridge Fund, which you'll obviously meeting next Monday, and you'll see there are budget comparisons. We did manage to get April, May and June, so we've got the first quarter now,
Right.
and the bank reconciliation. So you are in a much better position. Well, obviously you'll get to see them next week. They are actually live and now on the website, and you had them on the email. But
And then obviously we need then just to keep driving this progress and, you know, making sure that we get to a point where we're caught up and then, you know, exactly, because it's very important now because of the budget setting. You know, you need to be in a position where you can see.
It's critical,
you know,
yes.
Yes, it is critical, exactly. So we've got the first quarter done, which we've managed to produce for publishing today, and that meeting will happen on Monday. So then you'll have an opportunity to look at the reports and you know, make sure you're comfortable with what's been produced. And obviously, if there is anything, you need to raise that. Sophie will be clerking that, and we can raise that with the interim RFO.
Okay.
Or Advantage Directive, we need to.
Well, if it's an issue about the way this software is set up, then we need to take advantage, and we need to have something pretty robust, because we have an interim at the moment. That means that we're likely to have some change over the next 12 months, so I would not like to see this repeated. It's going to be, someone's going to have to be climbing a learning curve. So I'd really like a very robust set of protocols from them, and to say, well, what else are you going to do to make this work? Because we can't have this repeated.
No. And you know, I'm told that because the onboarding at the beginning wasn't quite done correctly, that's what's caused, you know, this issue. But once we've done, well, the year end has been done now, so that year's been rolled over, and that's why we were in this position where we couldn't, because you cannot put onto the system until the year end is shut down. That's how it works, and it's not peculiar for Advantage, because Rialtas I used in my previous role, and that was exactly the same principle. You had to shut down the year end before you can start the new year. So, you know, there was always going to be a delay, but obviously nobody envisaged that it would be this much of a delay.
Questions? Councillor Marie?
Yeah, it's deeply concerning considering that the council agreed to have Advantage do it, and then they said that the charity is too big for them to run. I just think that's a bit. They sold us an item that the council, or the full council agreed to do, but yet they can't fulfil it. How long's the contract left with these guys? I mean, could we think about speaking about going somewhere else afterwards? Because
I was going to say, Councillor, that's a huge task for somebody, because you're switching then from one software to another, and I mean, you'd have to consult with the new town clerk, because it'll be a capacity thing. You know, it's a huge. It doesn't happen quickly, and we know how much work Karen, the RFO, had to put in to get this system up and running. I mean, I'm told that, well, you have the reports as well, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the Mayor asked me to share with you this evening these reports when you made the decision. And I mean, I've been very robust with Advantage and said, you know, this was sold on the understanding that we had the charity, we had the town council, and you assured us you had other customers or clients that did have a charity as well. So, you know,
the other thing is we've got Maddox coming in soon as well. Will they be with the paperwork begun through them as well?
There's no suggestion that they would be on the same system. That will obviously be a conversation that
the
new town clerk and
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the matrix, when we looked at the matrix, it's not quite so positive about accounts for charity. Produces profit and loss accounts for charity. If we look there, I didn't recall that this was a major discussion, and quite rightly you've drawn our attention to the fact that we did ask them the questions about how effectively they could deal with charities.
Yes.
It is disappointing, and that's why I really would like some very robust procedures from them and operating practices, so the next person or whoever gets the full-term role is able to hit the ground running with this, because we don't want this all over again.
May I share what the conversation that I had with the interim RFO? I said, well, this, you know, you're telling me it doesn't work, and I have to take that at face value, because it's the first conversation that I've had with him about that. He said it doesn't work for charities, so what do we do? You know, and I threw it back at him, and he said that Advantage is a bolt-on system, so you pay for the council stuff and then you pay for the charity stuff. And the more enterprises you put on it, the more you pay. So what he was saying, basically, if it was him, he would strip off the charity part of it and then buy a very cheap, inexpensive Sage, QuickBooks, something that doesn't need to be AGAR council specific. And then you could run the charities on that, basically, the charity side on that, because he posts from one to the other anyway. I mean, just this.
Yes, so there are transfers that happen.
Yeah,
but
they're manual anyway,
Yes.
so that running them on two separate items of software wouldn't be an issue because they're manually posted anyway. So you could basically save some money from Advantage by taking the charity element off, and then buy something that was more, because it works well for STC, but buy something that's more charity specific for the charity side of things.
Even if we went down that route, that would take some months to implement, wouldn't it?
Now you lose me.
Inevitably, there's this climate learning curve, getting it properly
Yeah.
installed and so on. Sorry, Councillor Pennington, you wanted to make one.
Well, thank you. Yes, I was just a bit surprised by this claim that it was at the installation wasn't properly done.
So the onboarding was
Yeah.
blamed for, that wasn't done correctly at the time, which obviously Advantage were tasked. When the setup and the onboarding was happening, they were there to, implicate and make sure that the infrastructure was right at the beginning. So that's what they've told the interim RFO, that some of that onboarding wasn't correct at the time. And obviously, they've been using the system for a year, both the Karen and the interim RFO John, and it isn't until the year end, that you want to come and run the year end, and it was apparent that it wasn't, reporting what it should. So I didn't have the conversations at the beginning when the onboarding was happening, because obviously Karen was highly experienced and she was. There's no implications that anyone's done anything wrong. It's certainly nothing, but it's purely with the process that they've undertaken for the onboarding. I don't know whether they missed some information that wasn't put on at the beginning, but that's what's created the problem. And
The onboarding was our responsibility, the council.
No, Advantage were supposed to be doing the onboarding. So and we did pay for the onboarding at the beginning. So but that's why the interim RFO has been having conversations with them. So actually, the issues were caused by the onboarding not being done correctly. It's nothing to do with the year end. Really, it's all to do with what happened at the beginning. So but I think what we need to do is bring a detailed report once we can have a proper I didn't want to interrupt what the interim RFO is trying to do at the moment.
No.
The key thing is, but I think once we get past this stage, my suggestion would be to the new town clerk is to sit down and actually, come up with a report for members so you can see, what the steps were and what happened.
Well, sorry, Colin. Councillor Wells, sorry.
Oh.
And then come back to you, Councillor Marie.
Yeah, just going back to the report that we looked at in February last year, it does say there that Advantage is not so good at producing reports. So we were warned, I guess.
You were.
But then again, their costs were, year one, were almost 3 times as much as Advantage. I think to try and, at this stage, to say we're going to think about switching is reckless. We need to keep working with Advantage and try and get them to produce the right information. And if it means having as Town Clerk suggested, having maybe a smaller separate system, maybe that's what we need to do. But we have to keep working at it.
You very much indicated that it was working really well not really well, but perfectly adequately for the town council side.
But not STBF. Councillor Marie and then Councillor Chuka.
Just quickly, if it's going to help the STC and the RFO regarding removing the charity aspects out of the accounts, the only thing we'd have to do is we'd have to check with charity commission of what ones we could use. Say Sage and obviously QuickBooks and stuff like that, but we'd obviously have to see what the charity commission say about it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chuka?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on the point about using the term software glitches, just to avoid any doubts with any councillors either here or not here about reporting faults, for example, to the software provider. When we say glitches, what do we mean? Do we mean that they are inherent issues with the software, and therefore we've raised an incident against the software? Or are we just saying that it's about clunkiness of certain steps? And the supplementary question to that is, if they are inherent faults, I assume that we've reported them as soon as we knew about them and haven't sat on them for time, and they've been reported as we discovered them.
Yes, completely. And it's a combination, if I'm honest, because they've been going backwards and forwards to their development team, and how it works is, you know, if a client approaches them and said, actually, we would like you, you know, to incorporate this in the reporting, is that possible? If they deem that, the development team deem that enough clients will benefit, they will do that work, you know. So I think, you know, the situation here is unique. We've said it so many times. The Toppage Fund is, you know, a big charity, but you know, in my opinion, I'm not the RFO, so I'm not an expert on the finances, but in my opinion, if you've told a software company you operate a charity, they've assured you at the beginning that they have clients that have charities, I don't quite understand why this has been such a problem, but I think that's something that you can, you know, talk about later. I think at the moment the top priority is exactly focus on the task and get those reports out.
Well, Councillor Watts.
So I'm just looking at the government guidance, because the where the income is less than 250,000 a year, according to this, you only have to produce fairly basic accounts. I don't know whether it might be worth
Yes, but
checking.
the issue is about a transfer. It's the movement of activity between STC and STBF is
Yes.
why it's complicated for us.
Okay. Councillor Brown.
Can I make a suggestion that if they haven't, ask a representative from Advantex come over to us and speak to us regarding the problems we've had? We have Court Juvier come over, and we have other people companies that we use to give us reports and stuff, and quick Q&A pre-meeting.
Would the meeting be in favour of that?
I think it's a really reasonable suggestion, with the caveat that let's get everything properly grounded in terms of reporting first, and so that might be possible for October.
Yeah.
But it might mean November.
Yeah, that's fine. I just think if instead of speaking to a computer screen all the time on a phone call, having a member come here and to speak to them and say, look, we're concerned, and then go, right, this is okay, you get apologise, etc., let's move on.
Thank you for that. Could I come back a step? Is it too late for them to really improve the onboarding?
So that's what they've had to do. They've had to go back.
But is that now complete to the RFO satisfaction?
Yes.
So that is definitely to our satisfaction, us being a corporate entity, yes?
Yes, because year end is now, it's rolled over. Year end has happened, so that's why we're now in a position where we can start generating the reports, because he's had to put the information since April onto the system. So that's why we've only got the first quarter.
And this is now in a format that is robust and can be rolled forward all the time. We're not going to have the same sort of challenges again, because we've now got the system fully integrated with what we wanted to do.
It's not quite fully integrated yet, because we've got, I mean, I won't go into lots of details, but I think it's now in a position where, you know, because it was the first year, that's why you had those problems, but it won't be the same next year, because the onboarding is done now. That's finished with. It's rolled over. We've had year end, so this year, you know, it's already got the year in the system, so you won't have the same problems in that respect.
That's reassuring.
Okay, well that's good to know, because I was going to say the first thing is that they have to get this onboarding really working.
That was the initial
And
setup.
secondly, that they have robust procedures that the RFO, whatever we do with the RFO, can actually, it's a new person can pick it up and not have a huge learning curve to climb. There's going to be a learning curve because it's a new system.
Exactly.
So our protocols and our standard operating practices now fully developed.
Yes, I mean they are responsive. It's just you know, everything takes time. When they have to go back to the development team, obviously you're waiting for, you know, for that team to do what they need to do before. Yeah, so it's you know, there's steps in the process.
Yes,
Yeah. So, but they have responded, you know, then.
So we're going to ask them, I think the consensus of this meeting is to ask Quilter to come, not Quilter,
Advantage.
Advantage to come and talk to us. I think we'd like to ask them very specific questions about how many other charities they deal with, and I can't see that the size of the charity is an issue. You either deal with charity legislation or you don't.
No, I wouldn't say personally, but.
So we'd like an explanation from them, please, on that. I think any issue about separating out midstream is going to be quite risky. We've got a lot of new people coming in, and no matter how good they are, their learning curves to climb. And I would be reluctant to do that unless it really is very bad. I don't hear that. So my view at the moment is let's get a full report from Advantage and explain to us, please, what the problems of the charity are. I mean, and what other charities they work with. Councillor Tudor.
So we're talking here about IT, so let's do it logically and sensibly. What we shouldn't do is jump in and say we want a full report from Advantage. What we need to do is complete the financial work that the RFO is doing now. That's a given. Get that done.
Yes.
The next stage should be for the RFO then to give us an appraisal report, because I'm still not clear about when we say glitches, do we mean that we've found faults with the system which have resulted in the need for incidents to be raised against the system and responded to within their SLA, or alternatively, have we identified requirements that we need of a system to support our charity that they've gone away and worked up it from the development team? That we need to be very clear, so the RFO should be saying there were inherent faults. You can't just say, and I don't mean him, but you just can't glibly say the software isn't fit for purpose. You have to be very specific when you talk about IT.
Absolutely.
Did we find 4 faults? Did we raise incidents and they have been fixed? Or did we identify requirements that we need delivering and they existed, but they had to go away and make sure that we had those included in our delivery item as a package? So that's how we should do it.
Yeah.
Focus on delivery, get the reports right, then ask for a report, and then we go to Advantage.
So what would be a realistic timescale in this?
Well, I think you need to give the RFO at least another 2 to 3 weeks, I think. So I don't know if it would be possible to do something for the next committee meeting. That might be a bit. I think that'd be a bit too. So I think maybe November.
I'd like to suggest that the chair, because it is STBF finances,
Yeah.
where it sits as an issue, gives that breathing space, liaises with the finance officer and come up with a timetable that you're all comfortable
but I
with.
think that if we aim then for a full report by November, before the November meeting, and so that we can ask them Advantage to come and talk to us and say, well, what are your answers to these points? Where are you going on this? And let's concentrate on the next meeting to make sure that we've got as much working that we can do under our present system. And I would suggest, unless the meeting feels otherwise, that we defer any consideration of splitting out the system until much further down the track, and certainly for a few months, because we need to know what they can and what they can't do, and that will then inform us as to whether we need to hive off this system or not. Is that happy? And are you happy with putting a minute to that effect?
Yeah. So reports up to date, then an appraisal report from the RFO for November. When we've got that appraisal report, do we then ask Advantage, or do we want them along in November?
Well, if we can get the report before the November meeting, from the appraisal report before the November meeting, to at least have a good look at it, and then whether we have an extraordinary meeting to decide what we want to do further, or whether it's just myself and the RFO and yourself to say, okay, what do we want to do? But I would think that we'd want to have them in November,
Yes.
answering specific questions. Councillor Pennington.
Yes, thank you. Just one comment, when we say full report, it doesn't need to be a long report.
No,
I think it just concentrates
The
on
bits
what
that don't
needs to be
work.
fixed.
that's the job, basically, yes. Okay, have we
Okay.
got
So
answers?
should I give the RFO, IRFO, a report deadline of the end of October,
Yes,
which would give him time to get us all up to date
yes.
and roll a month and then,
And might I suggest that the three of us meet, not the RFO, town clerk and myself too, before that report is finally published, just to make sure that we've covered all the bases.
Councillor Green?
Yes, could invite Councillor Green if you'd like to come along,
So-
yes. Okay. Right. Moving on then, to the next item, which is budget template.
Yeah.
Have we covered this at the previous meeting? Because de facto it's the same thing.
I propose we accept this.
I second that.
Doing that, right?
I must say, it was minutes ago.
Votes? Everyone voted for it?
So it was 8.
Sorry, can I comment?
Unanimous.
I hope that last year proposals will include some reflection of what their expected results are. I didn't actually see that flicking through, but it was mentioned last year.
Okay.
Just a
Carry on.
narrative in the application.
So are you talking about budget template?
I think so, sorry. you mentioned it. Is it covered?
Sorry, are we talking about budget, are we still talking about budget template?
We are, well, I think we are.
We haven't finalised it. We just said are we going to follow what we agreed at the previous meeting?
Yeah, I think you voted on that, haven't you?
Yes.
I thought we had.
Yeah,
Yes,
you have,
we did.
yeah. That's all right, councillor.
Yeah,
Matthews.
okay.
You're right.
I'm sorry, everybody, we're on 6, we've just done 6. Have we received and approved all those various variances?
That's not.
Yeah, we did those.
Yes.
So we, performance of quilter investments, that's just,
Discussed that.
we talked about that, and budget template, that's what I'm number 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a confusing agenda.
Who proposed the template?
Councillor Wiles,
Councillor Wiles,
and I
thank you.
seconded.
And the mayor, that's right, mayor said.
Yeah.
And we voted on it.
So now it's item 9.
Item 9.
The energy efficiency.
Have we already done that one?
No, we haven't already done that one.
Okay, so,
Please.
yeah, so energy, obviously just to give an update, you know, the jobs that we're performing, you can see in here now it's much lighter than it was before.
Yes.
And we're making obviously already, you know, savings on that. We've got to fit the installation to the pipework, and the final job is that we then need to insulate the loft space. This work is going to be taking place over the next 4 or 5 weeks. I've got a new part-time caretaker on board, and he'll, you know, we'll be performing the work ourselves, what was agreed, to keep the costs down. And yeah, that's it. Oh, just one thing I would say on my update. When I originally estimated the annual savings for the electric, it came up at £180.
Yes.
I've looked at the data. I mean, I can only go by the figures I was given. I looked again, and good news is we're actually going to save more.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, we're going to save more money. And although the flip side of that was the reason why was that I was given a lower cost of how much we were actually paying for electric and gas. So I had to revise that, but we will be saving. We will be saving more money on that side, just purely for the lighting itself. And so the other work will be completed soon. Obviously ready for the winter.
Okay. Councillor Wells?
It's very encouraging. The increased saving, is that based on meter readings or?
No, that's based on what, so we took what we were paying before. Yeah, so how much we're taking how much we've actually used in unit, in unit numbers and multiplied it, but then when I looked at it again, and actually the figure was incorrect that I was given, so that's why we're actually going to be saving more. We're going to be saving more money on just on the electric side, and everything else. Yeah, we got there are going to be savings. The building, you go up, once you look upstairs, there's hardly any insulation at all. It's going to make a huge difference. Most importantly, it's obviously the winter, but also in the summer, it's going to keep it cooler.
I like the idea of sheep's wool if it's
Yes.
traditional.
It's not attached to a sheep.
Yeah. That's the only thing. Get them off the sheet.
It's not flammable, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It can be, it can be more expensive. There is one where you have a mix, so it's a mix between sheep's wool and other recycled material. So I'm costing out at the moment. We wouldn't have enough in the budget to do that, obviously the whole lot, but I'm going to stick to the older part of the building.
It's more in keeping.
It is, certainly is, yeah. And certainly if it's an area that can be sort of with damp and condensation, sheep's wool is best to use.
Yeah.
Because it still keeps its the quality, but its performance. So that's what I would do. So the older part, I'm going to go with sheep's wool, and the rest will be laid in, about 300 to 400 mil. So it's going to make a hell of a difference.
Can I just ask a question about sheep's wool?
Yes.
In an older building, once you get the infestation of moths, sheep's wool is not good news.
Well, the reports I've seen actually say that the sheep's wool is good in older buildings. So that's what I've actually seen.
Well, I've got English Heritage were commenting the sheep's wools, and if you've got a building which has had a lot of sheep's wool insulation, it can be a bit of a problem once you've got moths. And this is a much older building, it's more likely to have moths.
Doesn't it have lanolin? It's got oil, natural oils in it.
Even so.
It can be treated, wool can be treated, so that's a possibility in terms of mitigating.
Because I haven't actually purchased it yet, I will go back on that
Could you
point.
please check
You are right, you
Yeah.
are right. I mean, moths love wool.
They do.
Yeah.
But they can be treated, the wool can be
Yeah.
treated.
Yeah.
Surely it'll be treated because it has to be within fire safety standards as well, anyway. So.
Yes. Okay, well, aside to that caveat,
Yes.
are there any other questions people have got?
No.
Right,
Happy to
thank you for the report, it was
So very, very,
and it's some good news.
Yeah, and I'll obviously we'll do a report with all the photographs and everything else, and
Excellent.
with the sheet.
I propose we receive a note of the report.
Receive the note, seconded by Councillor Chuka, all in favour? Okay, thank you. The next item, 10, which is the Empire Cinema.
Yes.
Again, Julian, if you can.
Yes. Yeah. Give you a quick update on the Empire Cinema in sort of 4 different topics, as it were. So update on the works. The new fire alarm system has all been completed. It's installed, and I spoke today with the alarm company, and they have confirmed that the tenant has paid for the monitoring system that was part of part of our agreement. So the monitoring system, that if there was a fire, it rings an external
centre.
Yeah, so that's all been done.
Excellent.
Everything is up and running. They sent we paid an upfront payment. They've sent us the invoice for the work. I've got to just go in. I want to go into the property, which I was trying to do this afternoon. I'm just going to check there, and then once we've made the payment, the final payment, they will then send all the certification. So on that side, it's done. The fire doors have been upgraded. There's a couple of doors that we've just got to finish off, that are not the main ones. So that needs to be done. Where I'm struggling is the ventilation dampers. So that's the ventilation system, but unfortunately at the moment we don't have plans, we don't have section drawings, we don't have design drawings. So having conversations with any suppliers or contractors about the system that's in there, we just can't move forwards without that information. And the problem is to get that information, or to get all the drawings, the measured survey, section drawings, mechanical and electrical drawings, you're probably looking at 5,000 or 6,000 before you've started. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have had a meeting. I've had a meeting with a company there who do a lot of their own design work. It's ongoing. I will get it. I will, have this finalised. And yeah, I don't really what to add to that, apart from the fact that it needs. It does need to be. It does need to be done. But it's coming up with the actual solution.
And there's a thorough search has been undertaken, because I know various documents for various kinds have been discovered over the past few months, but there's absolutely nothing we can find about the design of the damper system.
No, there's not. There's one plan that was from 1990, I think. They were just the flat drawings, but they were not even the section drawings. There's nothing there. I've met a company there. We've gone through the building, and we can work out. I can work out where it's, where the ventilation is going. And the good news is, it's not like an air conditioning system where it's venting out onto a passageway where people are walking through. So on that side, it isn't, it's not dramatic. What I have done is gone back to the company, the FRA company, the Fire Risk Assessment Company, and said, okay, you've produced your report, you've told us that we're going to need some dampers. What do we need to be looking at? And I'm waiting for them to come back to me on that.
Okay.
I'm also looking, and I've looked through the British standards that they've quoted as well. So what I'm hoping for is that the system that we can put in sits underneath the vent. So it'd be like sitting under here,
Yeah.
and the moment it reaches a certain temperature, it triggers.
Yeah.
And that means that you're not having to dig through all the ventilation and messing
And
around.
that will essentially prevent a draft from being continued.
It stops the fire going up like a
Yeah.
chimney.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah.
Same thing. Draft.
And obviously we've also got the system where it goes from the back of the cinema into what we call the secret room.
Yeah.
So we've got to be able to make sure that anything happens that's blocked. That's blocked off.
Okay. Councillor Watt, did you want to ask a question at this point?
Yeah, just to clarify that the work you've outlined here, this is all the responsibility of the lessee.
The ventilation certainly is, yes. We agreed on the other items on the basis that he was to deal with the ventilation.
Yeah.
The reason I got involved is that if I don't get involved with it, I need to know that it's been done to the correct level.
Okay.
But yes, it certainly is, yeah.
Thank you. EPC?
Yep. So can we just carry on the works, if that's okay as well, just quickly. So the emergency lighting, that's obviously all been checked now and that's been certified. And he has undertaken some work. There was some old work here that was that's done, but I've looked back at the work. There's guttering that was really needed to be repaired along the side elevation. That's been done now. So that work's been undone. Of course, there's a lot of work needs to be done across in an old building, but a lot of the major, what I would say, the major items now have been dealt with.
Thank you. EPC?
Yes, the EPC, as you know, I had to get an EPC carried out, and at the moment it's in a band D. It's the lower end of the band D, so it's virtually into a band E. So at the moment it's okay, but obviously the regulations are changing. Energy efficiency has got to be improved on properties. So the assessor that came round, I said, right, can you go through it, do an assessment of exactly what work would be if we did this. What would we actually achieve? And you can do a lot of work and still stay within a D because it was at the lower end of the D. But so to achieve a C, we would need to do a new heating system for the ground floor. So at the moment it's gas fires. So we need a gas central heating system and insulate the loft. That takes us up to a C. So, but I say that's really, that's where we're going to need to be at. Now they're saying that we need to be at least it's going to be a C in April 2027, which is going to come round pretty quick. I think once we've done those improvements, there would be a good case then, if it did then need to go to a B, that we can show we've done everything that we could do to get to that, and eventually you've got to draw the line. What's interesting in doing small things that you would actually think, like doing the windows, new windows, you'd think double glazed, that would make a difference. But because they're not wide windows, it doesn't actually make a huge amount of difference. So what I'm saying is that, we've got to do it at some point. We're obviously going to be, we're environmentally responsible. This is what we're saying, that obviously we are, and there's also a commercial gain there. Because if you look at properties with the better EPC, higher EPC, that are more efficient, will command a higher rental, and they will certainly command a higher price. So, we've got to look at it as being should be something that we're looking at as a benefit.
Okay, but we're no idea of costs at the moment.
No.
Okay, so that'll need to come back then.
It certainly will.
Is this our responsibility? This is our responsibility.
It is. It is our responsibility. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about EPC? Thank you.
Yes, I was just going to say, in terms of the costs, it will need to be found from within the STBF fund. So ideally, my suggestion is that we should be looking at building this into next year's budgeting round.
Yes.
It's got till April 2027, so that gives capacity to do that. And it does present a potential risk that the STBF fund, we may have to go through the same cycle as we did last year and say, actually, it's money to be invested in the assets as opposed to anything else. Because the assets are the primary reason for the
I was
fund.
about to say they are the primary reason.
Yes.
Although that may not be understood everywhere.
No.
Thank you.
So the property manager's talking about a rent review, and I know we haven't had a rent review for some decades.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
But quite frankly, the lessee, I don't think would be in a position to pay the increased rent.
No, I wasn't actually talking about. I have to talk about rent review there, as you know, in the past. I was talking about generally speaking, a property with a
As an
high
asset,
as an EPC will command a higher rental.
So it all, in part, it then depends on the timescale that you're looking at.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions on EPC?
No.
No. But then the next one, then the legal update.
Yes. That's it. Yeah. So, Tilbury and I, we had a meeting at Mole and Mole. We took a big box of files, or big box of documents with us, and we've gone through it, and they've now been instructed to undertake the legal work to get it transferred out of DDC's name into our name.
Yes.
It's quite complex. It is fairly complex, I would say. But they know what they do. They know what way it's going to be done. We've got some more documents. I think there's another document they asked for, an original.
Yes.
But what we found, what we've given them, is enough now that they can deal with that aspect. I haven't put it on here, but I would also mention that we're looking at I won't go into too much detail, but we're looking at a covenant on there as well, to look to adjust or remove a covenant, or potentially identify against them. But I haven't mentioned it. I won't go into detail at this point. That's okay. But we are dealing with the legal aspect, and once we get all that done, it's watertight then. The property.
Literally watertight.
I would go
Any questions about that? I have one question, which is, are the costs in line with what we budgeted for the
Yes.
legals?
Yeah, slightly less actually.
Slightly less.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
But they give a figure, and then of course we gave them enough information. It was something that if you go prepared, we did go prepared.
I'm sure.
It's a lot quicker, and so our time that was spent there. So we're looking at a saving there. Hopefully, but let's see. But we certainly gave them what they were looking for, information wise.
Okay, thank you. And then the last item really, which is the launch of the Empire Cinema Club.
Yes.
This is more for information.
It is for
Because
information.
it's entirely within
It's
the
not
lessee's.
our club. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not something that, you know, that the Tonbridge Fund are doing, but we can still support, obviously we can support it. So, as we know, when the chair and I and Jill attended a meeting with him, he seemed fairly sort of upbeat of, you know, what we could look at doing. And we've been talking about perhaps with some of the hirers that we have, if we've got a double booking, that we can, you know, they can go down. And then he started talking about a cinema club, sort of along the lines of the one in Faversham. So I put some things together, sent it to him, and you know, pushed back on a couple of bits, but we actually, we agreed at what it could look like. You know, so that's where we're at, and it's launching 31st of October. So
that's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been involved in a monthly showing of some classic films, very much along these lines, which was actually organised by my church, but it was a very open event. And we've been getting about 20 people along. It was in the lounge.
Yes.
Same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, the pilot work is there.
Yeah.
I take it that we would still be able to use the cinema at a different time.
Oh yes. Yeah. This is an addition. This is looking at something that open it up.
If you could contribute to improving the lounge.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is
Because the first time we used it, we had so many complaints about the smell of damp. It was just slightly embarrassing.
Yes.
It is. Yes. The artist doesn't help. Councillor Wells.
Yeah, I welcome this. Just a couple of questions and a couple of points, if I may.
Yes.
Where you talk about staff, that's the cinema staff.
That's correct.
Yeah, and would this be in addition to the current classic films that are held?
Yes, this is an addition. This is the last Friday of the month, separate.
So they're every month roughly, aren't they?
Yeah. So this will be the last Friday of the month.
Okay.
And what we're looking then to do is, what he's looking to do, is then it'll be talking to people. So they have a chat after the film, get together, and then look at what films are going to be next. And the whole idea, I think, is to reach a stage at the end of the pilot to get a real sense of, can this work? You know, can this actually work?
So all the promotion and everything will be with the cinema.
It will be.
Just, I mean, we had the open days at the weekend, and on Sunday afternoon we had 150 people visiting.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Fantastic turnout, real interest in the cinema.
Yes.
People, visitors and residents all thought it was an amazing building, and it is a really precious asset which you absolutely need to cherish and look after.
Yes.
But I just thought it's useful to read something from a previous Empire Cinema newsletter.
Yeah.
The Sandwich Film Club. The first performance was given on Thursday, May the 24th. The object of the club is to show unusual and specialised films, most of which could not be shown at normal cinema performances, either because they're not commercial or because they've not been given certificates by the British Board of Film Censors. The next performance of the club will be on Thursday, June the 21st at 10:45 p.m. finishing at about 1 a.m. Application forms for membership can be obtained from the pay box at the Empire. The programme for June the 21st is the Private Property American and More Deadly Than the Male British, and that is from June 1962. So there's quite a long list.
What kind of cinema club is this again?
I'll see if I can find that film for the November.
There's a long history, but I have to say, a year later, there's a letter from the Borough Surveyor, who was the manager of the cinema, because the Sandwich Borough Council owned the cinema at that time. He says it's to the Kinematography Renter Society Limited. You'll recall that early in the year it was decided by the Borough Council to hold special Wednesday programmes. Ideally these programmes took place weekly, but in view of the lack of support and the loss sustained, it was decided they should take place once a month. In spite of this, the audience was still low, and at the end of May it was decided to discontinue this completely. So I hope we're not going down the same route.
Repeating history.
It's a great development, and if it can make better use of the lounge, then that's.
I think this is
also
it.
good.
This is it. And I think with the 150 people that you had, I think it just shows you that there is, you know, an appetite for it. And I think for everyone, at the end of the 6 months, it opens up a lot more. You know.
I've been a couple of times.
Can I move this on, because this,
Yeah, of course.
this is not
talking shop.
for us, this is for them.
Yeah.
We've got two recommendations here. If there are no other questions, can we look at the two recommendations? You're first of all recommending that West carried out to bring EPC rating to band C, you'll obtain quotes. Anyone want to propose that?
Yes.
Okay, seconded, thank you. Vote. Thank you.
Unanimous.
And then second recommendation that we evaluate the long-term prospects of the MPAS in the end of the 6-month trial, and therefore at STBF in April 2026. Colin, you're proposing?
Yeah, I'll propose.
You propose that second, please?
Yeah.
Councillor Tuka?
You abstain, yeah.
Ooh,
Abstention.
I don't say anywhere, okay. Right, thank you. Next item, report about the hub and the sanctum.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Right. Please.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Chairman. So, so December last year, I was asked. I prepared a report. I put it to. I said here, sorry, STBF committee. It actually went to the trustee, and that was. Sorry. Yeah. I'm looking at the one that I'm doing for next week on here. It's the same. Yeah, I'm ahead of the game. Yeah.
Week ahead.
Yeah. So I think everyone would agree it's such a good idea that we just go ahead. So there were the two options. I've made a mistake on this. The two options. So option one was that we were going to let the hub out to hirers, and I estimated £8,000 a year, but we weren't able to use it for our own meetings or other events. And the second option was a hybrid model. So I've always liked the hybrid model, and that was to use the hub still for meetings or any other functions, and obviously in addition to that, we would look to do pop-up events. So the trustee agreed to the second option, and I'd just like to provide you with an update. So the update here, obviously it was underused space before. We only achieved £240 before in hire fees for a 6-month period back in the 2024. It still remains popular for meetings, so we're still using it for meetings as well. I advised that option 2 we would achieve in a region of £6,000 per annum, and what we actually have achieved for 8 months, so the 1st of January to the 31st of August, 8 months, we've got receipts for 4,160, and that is the equivalent of 6,240 per annum. Okay, so it's working. It's working really well. We get a lot of interest from people who are, small businesses or individuals who want to hire space without getting involved in a long lease. It's just what I said it would do. It's done.
This is the pop-ups, mainly.
This pop-ups, it is pop-ups. Yeah, it's pop-up events. And what I've done is I've taken the income and said, we've got some of the sort of beauty in there. DDC have hired it, all private event. We now have Wellness Wednesday, which is, someone in there. Just trying to think what else. Sorry, and retail as well. So yeah, it's working really well. Really pleased with it. It's more than bringing in an income. It brings in a profit, but we're also helping small businesses, small individuals, who don't want to be committed to a long lease. So on that basis, it's worked well. I've provided the costs. I've taken the annual cost of the building here and divided it by the square footage of the whole building, multiplied it by the square footage of that, of that room. I've provided everything here. It's easy to run. It's a painless operation really. They come in, rent it, pay the money, and they go.
Okay. Can I ask to stop at there? Let's, any questions about the hub?
I'd like to propose that we continue with option 2, which is a hybrid model.
Yeah.
Second that.
Yes. And then
And then just on the sanctum, because there was one thing with the hub. When option 2 was selected, I always had that feeling that we could get a conflict. If I started renting it the level I said I would, are we then going to have a lot of meetings and they were going to clash? So I decided, I had a room that was sitting there, it was covered, it was in such a mess. And I decided, do that room, and then we can use that for small, so the councillors can use it for any small meetings. And it's worked really well. I know a number of you have used that room.
yes.
It's good for us, we can use it on occasions. And now actually it's started to generate interest from people that want to hire it. I hired it the other day when I sold Councillor Barnes. I was just taking some money off someone. But yeah, so yes, that is a room that is that it's working. I think all of this has just highlighted one thing, is that we do have an asset here. If we play it right, we can do a lot here.
Yeah.
We can do a lot, and I've proved that. And now I want to take these and look where else that we can. I don't want to say replicate that same model, but look where else we can make improvements to increase the income that can come in. So all I'm asking for recommendations is we continue, obviously, have the hub, and also just note what I'm doing with the sanctum. Please use it if you'd like to use it, and when I report back, I will then look at that from a more of a commercial, avenue.
Any questions about the sanctum? Councillor?
Yes, it's not just a sanctum, I suppose, elsewhere, but I think we should try and publicise workspace. Because in Sandwich there is no workspace, that if somebody wants to have their own meeting, non-council, so,
This is what it's been doing. Yes.
And that's, the sanctum would be ideal for that somebody comes in and does their work at a charge. So
Yes.
there's nothing I've seen promoting that outwards.
It hasn't. It's been a lot of people have come in.
So what I'm
including
saying is-
today. Yeah.
What I'm saying is there's definitely a gap in the market in Sandwich Town that there is nowhere that if somebody wants to do professional work,
Yes.
other than sitting in a coffee shop, which some people do enjoy doing,
Yes.
but not everybody does.
So what I will be doing it is for the next magazine, I will be featuring the sanctum, and now I'll be doing the hub. I wanted to wait for everyone to agree that the hub was,
Good
wait for it.
Wi-Fi when it works.
Yeah.
A warm building,
Yeah.
space, quiet.
So I actually have a therapist that is using it at the moment just once a week, where he meets people, but a place where someone can come in, sit down, work, and go. So yeah, we will be promoting it for the magazine.
And we have some rates for that we can quote them.
Yes, £10 an hour.
£10 an hour, okay. Right. Any other questions on the sanctum? Right, the recommendation, please, to note only, can I vote? Proposer? Councillor Jacobs, seconder, Councillor Pennington. Vote. Thank you. I'd also like to congratulate you on the amount of work that's gone into this report, and it's very clear, and also the effort that you've put in to make sure that both of them are becoming much more successful areas in the Guildhall. We need to use this building.
Yes.
I think it's also noting the achievements. It's not just about reporting.
No, I should.
It's the actual achievements that
that's
actually you're delivering against what you anticipated would be done. So it's,
Thank you.
very much to be appreciated.
Thank you.
right. Last item on the agenda is date and time of the next meeting, 15th of October, following the STCF and GB committee in the council chamber. Okay. Jill, can I ask